You knew they didn't love you anymore. You just didn't want to be right. There was a moment, a specific moment when you knew. Maybe it was the way they looked at you, like a stranger. Maybe it was the silence that felt louder than any fight. Maybe it was when you realized you were the only one trying. You knew. But knowing and accepting are two different things. So you stayed because you loved them. They stayed too, but not for the same reason. If you're watching this, you've probably asked yourself, am I overthinking? Am I being too sensitive? Maybe I'm the problem. Let me tell you something. You're not crazy. When someone shows you inconsistent effort, you notice. When someone treats you like an option, you feel it. When someone stops choosing you, you know. And the fact that you questioned yourself, that's not proof you were wrong. That's proof you cared. Because people who are loved consistently don't question if they're loved. They just know. So if you spent months convincing yourself that things were fine, if you made excuses for their behavior, if you lowered your standards just to keep them, you weren't delusional. You were in love with someone who wasn't in love with you. And that's not the same thing.
Here's what you need to understand about convenience. Convenience isn't evil. Convenience is just easy. And relationships, when they're convenient, require almost no effort. Think about it. Why would they leave? Leaving means having a difficult conversation, being alone, starting over, dealing with their guilt, explaining to everyone why it ended. Staying? Staying just means showing up sometimes, saying I love you when you say it first, being physically present while emotionally checked out. And here's the part that hurts. They weren't lying when they said they loved you. They probably did. They just didn't love you enough to choose you. There's a difference between loving someone and choosing them every day. Loving someone and staying because leaving is harder. You were giving them 100%. They were giving you whatever was left after everything else. Work, friends, hobbies, sleep, their phone. You got the leftovers, and you convinced yourself that leftovers were enough, because having something felt better than having nothing. But here's what you didn't see, and this is gonna hurt. They weren't just staying out of convenience. They were waiting for you to end it. Every time they pulled away, every time they picked a fight over nothing, every time they needed space, that was strategy. They couldn't be the bad guy. They couldn't be the one who gave up. So they made the relationship so uncomfortable that you would end it. And then they could say, I don't know what happened. They just left. I tried. They gave up. I guess they didn't love me enough. They made you the villain in their story, even though they wrote the script. Think about it. When you finally ended it, or they did, was there a fight? Did they beg you to stay? Did they say, let's fix this? Or did they just say, okay? That okay wasn't surprise. That was relief. They'd been waiting for this, and you gave them exactly what they wanted, an exit where they didn't have to be the bad guy. So what do you do with this? First, stop rewriting history. They weren't going through something. They weren't stressed. They weren't figuring things out. They were done, and they didn't have the courage to tell you. Second, stop blaming yourself. You didn't love too much. You didn't ask for too much. You didn't expect too much. You just expected them to match your energy, and they couldn't or wouldn't. Either way, that's not on you. Third, understand what you actually lost. You didn't lose someone who loved you. You lost someone who was comfortable with you. And comfort isn't love. Habit isn't love. Fear of being alone isn't love. Real love doesn't make you feel like you're auditioning for a role. Real love doesn't make you shrink yourself to keep someone interested. Real love doesn't make you question if you matter. The right person won't stay because leaving is hard. They'll stay because losing you is unthinkable. And until you find that person, you're better off alone than with someone who treats you like a backup plan. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know.
You were never the problem. You were just with someone who wasn't ready to be the solution. And that's not a failure. That's a filter. Comment the exact moment you knew it was over. Not when it ended, when you knew. I'm reading every single comment because your story matters, and someone watching this needs to know they're not alone. If this hit home, send it to someone who needs permission to let go. This is that permission. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you there?